Israel and Africa have had this fascinating on-again, off-again relationship. From ancient times to the modern era, there have been twists, turns, alliances, and the occasional plot twist. Back in the day, there were alliances, there were conflicts, and there were enough diplomatic shenanigans to make your head spin. Fast forward to the present, and the million-dollar question buzzing around is, in light of the ongoing Israel versus Hamas war in the Gaza Strip, which African countries are currently supporting Israel, and who's cheering for Palestine? Why, you ask? Well, that's what we're here to uncover. So grab your virtual passports and let's embark on a journey where we unveil countries that support Israel or Palestine, stating with South Africa. Due to suffering from apartheid, South Africa's history is intertwined with the fight against oppression. Therefore, the nation has been a steadfast supporter of the Palestinian cause. On the other hand, the Eswatini government, respecting its constitution that bans political parties, has chosen a diplomatic tightrope walk by choosing a path of neutrality. Contrarily, Lesotho recognizes the Palestinian state within the 1967 borders. Notably, recent statements and actions from Lesotho's government underline a consistent commitment to the Palestinian cause. Similarly, recent statements and actions from Botswana reveal a resolute position in supporting the Palestinian people. The commitment echoes louder than the absence of embassies. Conversely, while acknowledging Israel as a friend, Namibia has called upon it to cease attacks and refrain from actions against the Palestinian people. Furthermore, while diplomatic ties exist, Angola is now waving the flag for the Palestinian cause, calling it a just cause. Likewise, recent statements and actions from Zimbabwe paint a picture of nuanced diplomacy. In 2001, the Zimbabwean government voiced support for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On the contrary, as a Christian nation, Zambia consistently aligns itself with Israel, irrespective of global repercussions. This perception suggests that Zambia may be leaning towards a pro-Israel stance. Conversely, Mozambique holds a steadfast position in the Israel-Palestine discourse, with a long-held policy supporting the right of the Palestinian people to independence and self-determination. Opposing, Malawi has maintained relations with Israel since 1964, therefore, recent statements and actions from Malawi reveal a diplomatic tightrope walk, maintaining ties with Israel while balancing regional dynamics. Furthermore, recent statements and actions from Tanzania reveal a constructivist perspective, an approach that acknowledges and supports both the Palestinian and Israeli states. Additionally, present-day Kenya, where history shapes diplomatic decisions, although Kenya engages in more business with Hamas' foremost state ally, Iran, its foreign policy stance has consistently leaned towards Israel. Then again, Uganda has had the most tempestuous relationship with Israel. Despite past turbulence, Uganda's current foreign policy maintains support for Palestine, opposing 2 UN resolutions condemning Israel. On the contrary, Rwanda issued a statement condemning the Palestinian armed uprising. Rwanda believes that the only solution is to bring Palestinians and Jews together in 2 or more states. Besides, in December 2023, Burundi made headlines by voting against condemning Hamas at the United Nations. Notably, it didn't vote in October but supported the end of a ceasefire. Moreover, Somalia does not and has never had formal diplomatic ties with Israel, a principled stance it shares with many other Muslim governments. Contrariwise, Ethiopia's stance on the present war remains unclear. But most Ethiopian Christians, who form a significant part of the population, tend to be pro-Israel. Equally, Eritrea has maintained full diplomatic relations with Israel since its independence in 1993 and does not recognize Palestine. However, its neighbor, Djibouti, and Israel established diplomatic relations on March 11, 1978, but do not maintain formal ties since Djibouti does not recognize Israel as a sovereign state. Similarly, Sudan supports the independence of Palestine, with many Palestinians residing in the country for study or work, and calls for the Palestinian people's right to an independent state. In addition, South Sudan has often given Israel political support at the UN, usually abstaining from key resolutions related to the Palestinians. Besides, the DRC Congo and Israel have shared an important relationship, and thus it is among the African countries whose leaders have shown support for Israel. Similarly, despite growing criticism, Congo-Brazzaville stands as one of the African countries whose leaders have shown support for Israel but insist on valuing Palestinian and Israeli lives equally. Likewise, despite irregular diplomatic relations, ties between Gabon and Israel are considered good. But recently, it has tended to support the Palestinians or abstain from international forums. Further, Equatorial Guinea, while having supported Israel's right to exist, also acknowledges the Palestinians' right to self-determination, showcasing a balanced approach in its diplomatic relations. Similarly, Cameroon is a diplomatic ally of Israel. Interestingly, it stands as the only country in Africa that has not recognized the existence of a Palestinian state. Contrastingly, Nigeria, a founding member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, supports the Palestinian cause. Nigeria affirms diplomatic relations while advocating for a just resolution. Furthermore, since early 1989, the Central African Republic has recognized both Israel and the State of Palestine. However, it has not taken a position on the ongoing conflict. Similarly, although Chad and Israel have formal, informal diplomatic relations, during the recent war, Chad condemned the loss of innocent civilian lives and called for a ceasefire. Likewise, there are no formal bilateral relations between Niger and Israel, and historically, Niger has supported an independent Palestine. Equally, after the Palestinian Declaration of Independence, Burkina Faso recognized the State of Palestine. Since then, Burkina Faso has consistently supported UN resolutions in favor of Palestine. Also, although Israel has attempted to establish diplomatic relations with Mali, it is one of the countries that currently does not recognize Israel. In addition, Mauritania is one of the 28 UN member states that do not recognize Israel, aligning with 15 other members of the Arab League. Contrarily, Togo stands out as the only African country, alongside the USA, to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Therefore, Togo's decision is to resolutely stand to support Israel. Nonetheless, in a recent UN resolution, Benin actively called for a ceasefire in the ongoing conflicts. It expresses support for the creation of a Palestinian state coexisting peacefully with Israel. Further, Ghana proudly claims the title of being the first African country to establish formal diplomatic relations with Israel and affirm support for Israel's right to exist and defend itself. Differing, Côte d'Ivoire's diplomatic dance involves maintaining relations with both Israel and Palestine. However, the country's position is to express support for Palestinian statehood. Contrarily, Liberia opposed a resolution for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza amid the Israel-Hamas conflict. Therefore, Liberia's position in the UN reveals a consistent opposition to pro-Palestinian resolutions. Likewise, Sierra Leone stands as a player with positive relations with Israel. In fact, Sierra Leone became the sixth country to pledge the relocation of its embassy to Jerusalem. Alternatively, Guinea-Bissau, like many Muslim-majority countries, supports the Palestinian state. Recent condemnations of acts of provocation against the Palestinian population underscore its commitment to the Palestinian cause. Similarly, Senegal stands out as a steadfast advocate for the Palestinian cause. For example, at the UN Security Council, Senegal voted to halt Israeli settlements in Palestinian-claimed territory. Equally, Morocco's normalization of relations with Israel faced challenges amidst the Israel-Hamas conflict. Massive protests in Rabat reiterated Morocco's steadfast support for the Palestinian cause. Likewise, Algeria's relationship with Palestine is both political and emotional. Algeria's historical ties have been the driving force behind their unyielding support for Palestine. Also, despite the absence of formal ties, Tunisia has consistently voiced its support for the Palestinian cause, both at home and on the international stage. Besides, Libyan law explicitly forbids any engagement with Israel, reflecting a deeply ingrained sentiment among the Libyan people, with the Libyan people expressing solidarity with the Palestinians. Further, the Camp David Accords of 1978 established peace between the two nations, but despite official diplomatic relations, the Egyptian public remains deeply connected to the Palestinian cause. Opposing this, Cabo Verde recognizes the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people while supporting justice and freedom for Israelis. However, Madagascar, a proponent of the inadmissibility of territory acquisition by force, has consistently supported the principle of Israel's withdrawal from contested territories. Moreover, Mauritius has consistently maintained a nuanced stance, expressing a commitment to supporting both Palestinians and Israelis in their quest for a peaceful resolution. Meanwhile, Comoros has sought ties with Israel while reiterating unwavering support for the Palestinian people. It's a delicate balancing act. Similarly, recent events have seen the Seychelles express grave concern over attacks in Israel, unequivocally condemning all indiscriminate attacks on civilians. Overall, the divisions across the continent highlight a delicate dance where governments seek to compartmentalize their interests. On one hand, we see African nations deepening ties with Israel, engaging in trade, and enjoying the benefits of technology and aid. On the other hand, there's a robust expression of solidarity with Palestine, a sentiment rooted in history and shared struggles. However, these nuanced relationships are not without challenges. African governments, as we discovered, can be two-faced in their stance. While they strengthen ties with Israel, there's often a voice raised for Palestine. It's a diplomatic tightrope walk that, in some instances, sparks controversy and debate. Admittedly, geopolitical dynamics are complex, and Africa stands at a crossroads. The choices made in this Israel-Palestine narrative could shape the continent's tilt in the future. The geopolitical chessboard is evolving, and every move has consequences. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay curious, stay enlightened.